Hello everyone, this is Spliced and welcome to my full guide on the Shaman. I will be going in depth of all the movesets that the Shaman has to offer, as well as some other things. I don't claim to know everything about this class, however, but I did get a lot of time to spend with some really good players and they taught me a lot about this class, and I'm going to share it with you guys today. In this guide, I'll be showing a beginner, advanced, and expert moveset for everyone who wants to know the most you can get out of this character. So with that being said, let's get right into it. The Shaman is a ruthless assassin built upon pure aggression and preying upon the bleeds on your enemy. This assassin is so powerful that if you try to get away from her, you'll instantly regret it, as her special abilities is closing the gap on you and making sure that her aggression continues. If you try to do anything against her, be wary, as most of her attacks are pretty powerful in countering your abilities. When it comes to talking to the weaknesses of the character, there isn't really much to say, other than that she has a small reflex guard similar to the assassins, but that makes up for it with her incredible output and aggressive nature. Now that we all know about the basic knowledge of the class, let's move on to the beginner moveset. The first thing we're going to be looking at in the Shaman is its light attacks. The light attacks are very similar to the Shinobi's, where if you land your first light attack, the second one is guaranteed. Another thing that's pretty cool about it is that it's very forgiving, so if you delay it quite a bit, you can actually still get the second light in later on. On top of this, these lights can combo into many different things, but more on that later. The next thing we're going to be looking at is the Shaman's heavy attacks. The Shaman's heavy attacks are pretty powerful in themselves, but there's a special trait towards them. After you do your first attack, the second heavy on the left will be an unblockable. This unblockable can be chained with many different things, and it can also be started by many different attacks. It doesn't have to be a heavy. The unblockable heavy on the left is considered a chain finisher. Next we're going to be looking at Wildcat Swiftness. Perform this by dodging to the left or right and then doing a heavy right after. It's similar to the Berserker's dodge light. The difference is that the distance that you go with the dodge is a lot less, but it's also a heavy, so you can do a little bit more damage than the Berserker's light. Next we're going to look at Wildcat's Pounce. This is the running attack for the Shaman, and it is a very effective running attack as it makes sure that the enemy won't get away. It has immense range and does quite the bit of damage since it's considered a heavy attack. This can also be chained into many different things. Next we're going to look at Predator's Hunger, and this is one of the main attacks that you're going to be using for the Shaman. Perform this by dodging forward or backward and then pressing the guard break right after. This will initiate the Predator's Hunger. The next move we're going to be looking at is Wildcat's Rage. Perform this by dodging backwards or forwards, then doing a heavy attack, and depending on where your indicator is where the attack will come from. This attack is great at closing gaps between you and your opponent. If you dodge backwards and you use this ability, it will leap right back into the action. The first combo we're going to be looking at is the Predator's Hunger into Double Light. After you do the Predator's Hunger attack, it can confirm a double light attack if you're quick enough. The double light attack can then be comboed into other attacks, but I'll be getting into that later. The second combo we're going to be looking at is Raven's Bile. Perform this by starting up with a heavy and then quickly press a light attack in the same or a different direction. This will apply a bleed damage to your opponent, which will then initiate you to be able to heal after every single attack that you do thereafter, until the bleed dissipates. That's about it for the beginner's moveset. It might not seem like much, but keep in mind that we're just scratching the surface of what this character is capable of. Up next is the advanced moveset, where I'll be taking all of the beginner moves and taking it one step further. For those who want to keep going, here is the advanced moveset. Before we get into the advanced moveset, we're going to look at the zone attack. The zone attack is similar to the Berserkers, where you hit them 4 times if the first one connects. However, the second 2 attacks can be reacted by the enemy since there is a small pause in between, allowing them a chance to react to it. However, there is something you can do after the second attack to make sure that they don't parry your continuous zone. After the second attack, you can feint it into a neutral position, allowing you to go for a different combo. The other thing you can do is you can soft feint it into a light attack, which will apply the bleed from Raven's Bile. Attacking from the top with the Raven's Bile will apply it faster, rather than attacking from the right or the left, which is a slower attack and can give your opponent an easier attempt to parry your attack. Keep in mind that all Raven's Bile's attack from every direction can be parried. The next thing we're going to be looking at is a heavy into soft feint guard break. A soft feint guard break is performed by simply pressing the guard break button right after the heavy attack instead of pressing the feint button first. By doing this, it makes guard breaks come out a lot quicker and can confuse your opponent into trying to parry your heavy, in which you'll be going for a guard break instead. The next combo we're going to be looking at is a heavy into unblockable heavy soft feinted guard break. The special thing about this class is that its unblockable can be soft feinted into a guard break as well. Similar to the Centurion's unblockable, but the Centurion's unblockable cannot be soft feinted or feinted in any way. This character, however, can feint and also soft feint its guard break. The next combo we're going to be looking at is advancing Predator's Hunger into Predator's Mercy. This is applied by doing a Raven's Bile by applying bleed to your opponent, or simply deflecting into a bleed, and then simply going for the Predator's Hunger, which is a dodge into guard break. This will then pounce on the enemy, and you will bite their neck, doing a significant amount of damage and removing all the bleed from the enemy into damage. On top of this, since you heal while the enemy is bleeding, you will gain a significant amount of HP from this as well, allowing you to stay in the battle a lot longer. The next combo we're going to be looking at is going back to the double light. After you do a double light on the enemy, go for a heavy, soft feint it into a guard break. This can work with going into the unblockable heavy on the left, going for the heavy on the top, or the heavy on the right. This is a pretty good starter to grabbing your enemy and getting some chip damage off of them in the beginning to give you the advantage. I highly recommend going for this as your starter, as it'll confuse your opponent most of the time. The next combo is taking Predator's Hunger and taking those double confirmed lights, then doing a heavy and soft feinting it into a guard break. Keep in mind that since it is a double light, you can also go for the unblockable heavy right after and soft feint that as well. The next combo we're going to be doing is getting into the unblockable heavy and letting it go, and then as soon as the unblockable heavy hits your opponent, go for an immediate light right after. The light will be a Raven's Bile, which will apply bleed. This is a massive damaging combo towards your opponent, and since the unblockable goes pretty slow, it might confuse your opponent to parry a little bit too soon, getting the unblockable in on your opponent and allowing you to trick them into thinking that that's the end of the combo, where you'll keep going and go for a light afterwards. That's about it for the advanced moveset. This is a really good place to stop for the Shaman, as you can do a lot of good damage with the character. There's a lot of good movesets and mix-ups to work with, and a lot of ways you could confuse your opponent and keep the aggression on them. Up next is the expert moveset, where I'll be going really far into in-depth of this character, and to show you the real reason why this character is as powerful as people are saying it is. For those who want to go as far as they possibly can, and off the edge into the deep end, here is the expert moveset. Before I go into any combos, let's talk about the pounce delay. This is performed by simply holding down on the guard break button when you dodge, or the heavy attack button when you're going to go for the leap attack. This is a very important move because it can cause the enemy to dodge preemptively, allowing you to get a free pounce on them. The first combo we're going to be looking at is a double light into heavy soft feint, dodge backwards into pounce. Additionally, if the pounce knocks them into a wall or object, it will stun them, allowing you to get a free heavy as well. The next combo we're going to be looking at is a Predator's Hunger into a wall, which will stagger them, and then after that, instead of going for a heavy, you will do a heavy soft feint into the Raven's Bile light attack. This will apply bleed and put a lot of pressure on the enemy because now they know you can get a leap attack onto them. The next combo we're going to be looking at is soft feinting the Wildcat's Rage into the Predator's Hunger. Both of these moves soft feint into each other, which is really cool because you could use it to make your opponent do a forceful reaction, which will then guarantee you an easy pounce or an easy Wildcat Rage attack. If they're bleeding, it will also give you a free pounce as well, which will do a lot of damage to the enemy. Up next we have a really high damaging combo. Perform this by doing a zone attack, and halfway through the zone, soft feint it into the Raven's Bile attack in a different direction. After that, do a heavy attack and soft feint that into a guard break. You will then throw the enemy, which will guarantee a pounce. The pounce will do a significant amount of damage and heal you back to a good amount of HP, while dealing a significant amount of damage to your enemy. This does cost a lot of stamina, however, but fret not. After doing a full bite on the enemy, you will regen back to full stamina, allowing you to continue the combo if you so please. Next we have yet another really high damaging combo. This is performed by doing a heavy or double light opener, and then going for the unblockable heavy and letting it go. After the unblockable heavy hits your opponent, do a light attack, which will be the Raven's Bile bleed, then soft feint the heavy into a guard break, throw the enemy, and then go for the guaranteed pounce. As a side note, if you do end up getting the enemy into the wall with the guard break, that is also another guaranteed pounce as well. So in summary, if you do get the guard break, no matter what, you will get the pounce afterwards, regardless if they're bleeding or not. Next we're going to look at out of stamina max punishes. After the enemy runs out of stamina and you successfully guard break them, when you throw them, you can get a side heavy into an unblockable heavy confirmed every single time, even if they're not next to a wall. The thing that is not confirmed, however, is the Raven's Bile that comes afterwards, which is the light attack. However, there is another max out of stamina punish that is a workaround for this problem. Perform this by getting the enemy out of stamina and successfully guard breaking them. After you throw them, do 2 side heavies that is not the unblockable, and immediately do the light right after. The timing for this is a little weird, and sometimes it is not confirmed due to it being dependent on where you throw the enemy and the time of you attacking them. Next we're going to look at the deflect. This assassin's deflect will apply a quick bleed, and perform this by deflecting the enemy by dodging into their attack at the right time, and then do a light attack. This will apply a good amount of bleed damage, which will allow you to go for a pounce right after. A really powerful combo you can do with the deflect is, after performing the deflect, go for a heavy and soft feint into a guard break. After you throw the enemy, then you can get a guaranteed pounce on them. On top of that, something I want to mention as well is if they're out of stamina and you throw them and they fall down, the pounce is also guaranteed on that as well, so don't worry about missing that with the pounce. Next we have one of Shaman's fake out combos. This is a really special combo as it uses the soft feinting between the leap attack into the leap pounce. And if you do it right at the right time, you can flicker the indicators, allowing you to trick your opponent into making an action and getting a free attack off on them. Of course you won't see it from your perspective, and this also doesn't really work on bots since they're programmed to react to whatever you do, but this certainly does work against other players. And finally, we have the ultimate fake out combo. This is for when the enemy goes out of stamina and will almost guarantee you a guard break every single time. Whenever they go out of stamina, go into the leap pounce animation, let it go, and then feint it shortly after, which will make the indicator appear, forcing them to do a dodge. You can then guard break them, throw them, and go for your max out of stamina punish for an insane amount of damage on the enemy. And that is about it for the expert moveset. It might not have seemed like that was a lot, but there really is a huge vast amount of combos you can go with, since every single attack can combo into each other. These are just some of the movesets I thought I would share and teach you guys today, because I think these are the main ones that are most important. However, there is lots to explore and yet to see for the future for this character. With that being said, hope you guys did enjoy, hope you guys did learn something, and I'll see you guys later.